All right, guys. So what you just saw there was a mini insurrection. Yes, I'm calling it a mini insurrection because Democrats told us that if you do things like this, you are an insurrectionist, okay? Except they never really apply these rules to their own, okay? When Democrats storm the Capitol, okay, when they break into the Capitol, when they try to stop, Supreme Court justices from being confirmed to the court, like what they did with Brett Kavanaugh, right? They're called activists and protesters, okay? But again, if you happen to be conservative, okay, and you decide to protest at the Capitol, then again, you are an insurrectionist. And we have another situation where we have clear double standards here, as you have some insurrectionists that were arrested after occupying Kevin McCarthy's office. Now, these activists are AIDS activists, like literally AIDS activists, okay? They are protesting because they want to spend more money on AIDS relief. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and read about this. Protesters occupied Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy's office on Monday, demanding that lower chamber of Congress reauthorize federal spending on the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief. Quote, pass, prep, far, now, McCarthy, pass, pep, far, now, McCarthy chanted the protesters before eventually being arrested by members of the Capitol Police. Yeah, I mean, these people should spend at least 15 to 22 years behind bars, right? Like the leader of the Proud Boys.
The Proud Boys, the far-right group described by prosecutors as the chief instigators of the January 6th attack on the Capitol, watched their former leader go down today under the weight of a 22-year prison sentence, the longest sentence of any January 6th defendant so far. Enrique Tarrio, who the government accused of directing some of the actions of that day, was convicted of seditious conspiracy. Just before sentencing today, a contrite Tarrio apologized to law enforcement, lawmakers, and his family and told the court, "I was my own worst enemy." His sentence follows the fate of 4 other Proud Boys members who also received harsh sentences last week, all accused of using violence to try and keep then-President Donald Trump in power. One of the charges, obstructing an official proceeding, has also been leveled against Mr. Trump in a separate indictment. He has pleaded not guilty. Let's get more now from Ken Delanian.
A judge ruled that Enrique Tarrio, one-time leader of the far-right Proud Boys, will spend 22 years behind bars. While not physically present during the January 6th riot, he directed others and celebrated afterward, saying in a text message, "Make no mistake, we did this." Prosecutors had sought 33 years for Tarrio, but Judge Timothy Kelly decided that was too long. Kelly also sentenced 4 other Proud Boys last week to lengthy prison terms, but far less than prosecutors had asked for. Tarrio and 3 other Proud Boys were convicted in May of seditious conspiracy. Prosecutors said their goal was to orchestrate violence to keep then-President Trump in office. Afterwards, on CNN, Tarrio ridiculed members of Congress who huddled in fear as rioters breached the building.
I'm not going to cry about a group of people that don't give a crap about their constituents.
But a different tone in court today, telling the judge, "I am not a political zealot," and saying to the men and women of law enforcement who answered the call that day, "I'm sorry."
Ken, this sentence is 4 years longer than the previous longest sentence for January 6th.
That's right, Lester. And there have been over 1,100 criminal cases so far. The judge called Tarrio's apology better than nothing, but he said he didn't believe Tarrio was remorseful for the crimes he was convicted of.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. So apparently, you didn't even need to be at the Capitol for you to get the book thrown at you if you are being charged and accused of conspiracy to commit violence at the Capitol that day. And that's how they got Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys. Now, again, you don't have to be at the Capitol, okay? But these people actually break into the Capitol. They break into the Speaker's office, okay? And they demanding, AIDS funding, right? And I guarantee you they're going to get a slap on the wrist, okay? They got arrested, but they're probably going to get a slap on the wrist, okay? I'm just saying. We've seen this happen before. Leftists just tend to be able to get away with anything, okay? Politico reported earlier this month that Congress is almost certain to blow past a September 30th deadline to re-up the law governing the United States global HIV/AIDS relief work as the widely praised program becomes mired in the fight over abortion. Some members of the Republican House majority have argued that a portion of the $7 billion spent annually on the program ends up in the hands of organizations that also perform abortions, from Politico's report. Let's read here. Representative Chris Smith, who leads the House's Global Health Subcommittee that controls PEPFAR, is leading the charge against renewing the program until anti-abortion restrictions the Biden administration lifted in 2021 are reinstated. Those restrictions would block groups that receive PEPFAR funds from using other sources of money to provide abortions or even discuss them as an option. Yeah, so it seems to me that conservatives are against this funding because apparently it is also being used for abortions as well, too. Smith told Politico that he partnered with Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith and other Capitol Hill conservatives to lobby fellow Republicans in both chambers over the August recess, and said two arguments they made resonated with members. The first is that PEPFAR would have funding to operate even if the law governing the program lapses. And the second is that the Biden administration has hijacked the program to support abortion access overseas. Okay, so yeah, the woke activists are upset because they want AIDS funding, right? And they decide to break into the speaker's office and to commit a mini insurrection, right, in protest. Again, I guarantee you they won't get 22 years, right? They're not getting 22 years. Okay, so with that being said, this is not who Kevin McCarthy actually has to worry about. Apparently, Kevin McCarthy needs to worry more about Republicans than the woke activists, because Matt Gaetz, who's a Republican, is basically threatening to remove Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House because Kevin McCarthy apparently is moving too slow on the impeachment vote. Now, we've talked a whole lot about the impeachment vote, which allegedly is going to be coming up anytime right now, where they're going to vote to start the impeachment inquiry against Joe Biden. And some Republicans like Matt Gaetz feel like Kevin McCarthy is taking too long, and he's now threatening to oust Kevin McCarthy with the powers that were given to the Freedom Caucus through the negotiations that they had to make him Speaker of the House in the first place. So I want to read about this because, again, this is what Kevin McCarthy actually has to worry about here if he actually doesn't go ahead and get it moving on this impeachment inquiry vote. So let's read here. Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida is insisting on social media that he will follow through on threats to oust House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Gaetz has been engaging with news personalities and Democratic Rep Eric Swalwell over the past few days, insisting he is serious about his threats. Gaetz initially responded to criticism from Fox and Friends host Brian Kilmeade, who said the congressman was speaking into the wind over threatening to oust McCarthy if a vote to open an impeachment inquiry into President Biden is not held. Gaetz responded to the video clip of Kilmeade on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, on Thursday to push back on the host's comments. Swalwell then posted on X that he'd never seen a colleague make more empty threats than Gaetz. Quote, "I've never seen a colleague make more empty threats day in, day out than this guy." Gaetz folded like a cheap card table to make McCarthy Speaker and will never, I repeat, never make a motion to remove McCarthy. "I do not work with serious people," Swalwell wrote. Gaetz later reposted Swalwell's comments Sunday with the caption, quote, "bookmark this tweet," insisting he was ready to move against McCarthy. He also asked Swalwell how many Democrat votes he could deliver if he makes a motion to remove McCarthy. Quote, "Are all Democrats so willing? Eric Swalwell, will my NorCal Twitter troll have the courage and efficacy to become my Dem whip? If I'll work with AOC to ban congressional stock trading, I'll absolutely work with Eric Swalwell to rid the House of ineffective leadership," Gaetz posted on X. Yeah, so Matt Gaetz is basically saying, look, I'm going to tried to issue a motion to have Kevin McCarthy removed, and he's trying to get Democrats on board with it. Okay, that's what he's trying to do, right? Or that's what he's threatening to do. Quote, how many votes can you deliver against a motion to table a motion to vacate Eric asking for many friends? He added, Gates said last week he wants to pursue an impeachment inquiry into Biden over issues related to his family's foreign business dealings when he was vice president and will not let McCarthy stand in his way. Quote, that means forcing votes on impeachment, and if Speaker McCarthy stands in our way, he may not have the job long, Gates told conservative radio host Todd Starnes. Yeah, so Matt Gaetz is essentially threatening to remove Kevin McCarthy as Speaker, which, you know, hey, I think his threats are serious. I'm not sure he'll actually do it, but I think his threats are serious. And I do think that Kevin McCarthy does need to find a way to whip the moderate members of the Republican Party into supporting this impeachment inquiry investigation into Joe Biden. If he can't do that, then he's probably not an effective speaker, right? And he probably should be removed. I'm just saying. But hey, we'll see. Again, Kevin McCarthy has a lot of things to worry about. I think the woke activists are probably the least of his worries at this point. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.